everybody, welcome back to You Are Free TV. It is Monday, February 17th. So glad to be back with you all. I'll start with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution, protecting free speech, as well as the Sullivan Act and reporting. It is not intended to bully or harass anyone and never to incite violence or hatred of any kind. There are further disclaimers in the description below, and it is my opinion only. So yay, so glad to be back with you. Oh, here we are. There's so much news over the weekend. I'm going to get into it. But I'm going to start here by saying thank you to my patrons for supporting this channel. You make it happen. Thank you so much. And of course, I am promoting a product that I will mention here in the beginning. This is Tetragen, the AM and PM metabolic system that helps to regulate your hormones, okay, and help to burn fat. And so what it does, it's basically, it can be seen as a weight loss program, but really it is about getting your metabolism supercharged and regulated. So it takes about, 2 to 3 weeks to regulate your hormones, and then it goes with getting fat burning started. But this comes with, other things you do to stem your diet of course, the simple carbohydrates and all of that. But what's great about this is it really helps curb your appetite during the day, and then it burns fat while you sleep. It is an amazing product. I have benefited greatly from it so far. And I'm offering 10% off to viewers and, subscribers, and 20% off to patrons. You can check out those links below if you want to check out this product, which I do love. And honestly, because we're dealing with huge assaults on our metabolism, we have so many xenoestrogens and things attacking our metabolisms with all of these things with pesticides, glyphosate, all the things that really mess up our hormones. And that's why I love this product. So check it out. You can go to tetragenusa.com and check out the product, but you do need to go to my codes below to actually get the discounts. Okay, so let's move on. Now, okay, I want to start by just saying we've got, of course, they're pushing Bloomberg, but at the same time, Bloomberg is getting assaulted in the media, okay? So Bloomberg has been funding everything to do with social justice warriorhood in our legal systems. He has been funding all of the assistant AGs in multiple states to sue fossil fuel companies, hate that word, but basically putting in the climate change agenda into cities across the country, utilizing the assistant AGs or DAs in those cities to go in and say, we're going to put somebody in here who's going to go after fossil fuels so that they can put in the climate change laws. And what's important here to understand is that these are going to displace huge amounts of poor people, okay, across the country, because these climate change laws involve making all of these communities that have been surviving along coastal areas in the country will literally make people not be able to live there anymore, because they're going to make the buildings have to be upgraded. And if they have to be upgraded in these new climate change laws ways, nobody will be able to afford them except the new professional classes, the pretty much the .com or whatever you want to call them. The people with lots of tech money will be the only ones that can afford to live in these coastal communities. It is the pretty much the one percenters. And so it's the taking over of the coastline of America is what Bloomberg is all about. And he gets up there and tries to say that he somehow represents anybody, and it's ridiculous. We know he doesn't. He literally is Hillary Clinton's best friend. They were super best buddies in New York when she was senator. He was the mayor of New York. They did multiple Clinton Foundation, things together. A lot to do with that global Clinton Global Initiative on AIDS. All of this. They were buddies, and that's why we see these rumors. Would Bloomberg bring Hillary as the VP for his nomination? Now, that's not likely. I think everybody's pretty tired of Hillary, and they know that she can't win. And Bloomberg Hillary as a ticket is kind of crazy. But Bloomberg's pouring all of his money into this, and he has been pouring money into all the Democratic candidates. Now, Bloomberg was a Republican. And so when we look at Bloomberg versus Trump, we know that Trump is way more Democrat than Bloomberg is Democrat. Okay, so Trump was a Democrat who then ran as Republican. Bloomberg is a Republican now running as Democrat, and his old money, he's not old money. What I'm trying to say here is that he is so entrenched in the 1%, he is completely unrelatable. And so who they would have to run with him, could it be Stacey Abrams? You know, she's trying to get a VP nomination. They're saying, will it be Pete Buttigieg? Will it be Bloomberg Abrams 2020? Well, maybe, because Bloomberg has no other possibility otherwise. He is literally come out over the weekend, all the videos of him saying, farmers are stupid. Anybody can plant and grow crops, yada, yada. We already have all the stop and frisk videos coming out. He is super elite. And people need to understand that these elites, they all belong to secret societies. And this is not just a conspiracy theory. They all belong to these clubs. So when you see things like Fast and Furious, or the way that MS-13 and the gangs are run by the elites in power to destabilize our country, well, that's not foreign to these people like Bloomberg, because they also belong to all of these clubs, all of these elite clubs or secret societies that they are part of. And so to them, it's no different. They have their own gangs, okay, but they're elites versus the, what they would call the deplorable, or, whatever, the disposable gang members of, say, MS-13. But they use them to do their dirty work. So Bloomberg has been doing everything over the weekend, whether it's he actually did this crazy performance where he pretended he was Mary Poppins and literally floated above a whole, like a play, to say that he was going to help make America behave. Now, we know that Bloomberg can't win with Democrats, okay? And it's literally going to be most likely Buttigieg. And so Stacey Abrams, who's been, trying to be part of this presidential nomination crew, she could be VP for Buttigieg, who we know is deep state, Rhodes Scholar, the whole 9 yards. So I wanted to just juxtapose that with President Trump, who has come out from being a Democrat, all right, and come over and saying, you know what, I'm just going to work for the country. And he's been proving it for the last 3 years. And there's a woman here named Karlin Borysenko, who she has been a Democrat for 20 years, and she attended Trump's rally in New Hampshire, and she had this to say, and she published it online, and I'm going to read some of it to you because she decided as a Democrat that she would go attend Trump's rally in New Hampshire, and she admitted that 3 years ago she never, ever would have considered attending a Trump rally, never in a million years, but she found herself among the 11,000 Trump supporters in New Hampshire last week. And she basically said that after she had been involved in a knitting niche on Instagram, a bunch of folks that got together and did knitting, like with, how you knit things, that she saw on Instagram that they were constantly getting assaulted by social justice warriors. And that she said that people on Instagram involved in this knitting circle of followers were constantly being bullied and mobbed by hundreds of people for anything they said that didn't go exactly along with the leftist party, whatever. They would be attacked constantly. So because she witnessed all this vitriol, she decided that she would, check out this Trump rally and see what was going on in her hometown. So, okay, let's see what she had to say. She said, "I watched a lot of MSNBC. I was convinced that everything that Trump had done was horrible, that he hated anyone that wasn't a straight white man, and that he had no redeeming qualities." And she said that, but when I witnessed the amount of hate coming from the left in this small niche knitting community, I started to question everything. I started making a proactive effort to break my echo chamber by listening to voices I thought I would disagree with. So she said that I wanted to hear their perspective, believing it would confirm that they were filled with hate for anyone that wasn't like them. That turned out not to be the case. The more voices, meaning the Trump supporters, the more voices outside of the left I listened to, the more I realized that these people were not bad people. They were not racists, Nazis, or white supremacists. We had differences of opinions on social and economic issues, but a difference of opinion does not make your opponent inherently evil. So she comes to understand that there's tons of hatred being spewed by the left, and she's not liking it. She's like, I want to see what's going on elsewhere. And so she had looked into the #walkaway movement, and she says, quote, "I had heard about the #walkaway when MSNBC told me it was fake and a bunch of Russian bots. But when I started to meet people who had been Democrats, who had made the decision to leave because they could not stand the way the left was acting, I watched town halls they held with different minority communities, and I saw a sane, rational discussion from people of all different races, backgrounds, orientations, and experiences." So she joins the hashtag movement. She checks it out. She sees that it's not Russian bots. And and she goes on from there. So continuing with her testimony here, quote, "And the biggest question of all was this: did I hate Trump so much that I wanted to see my country fail just to spite him and everyone who voted for him?" And then she goes on to say, quote, "I've seen almost every Democratic candidate in person, and almost universally their message is one of doom and gloom, focusing not on only the obvious disagreements with Donald Trump, but also making sure to emphasize that the country is in a horrible, racist place." And she goes on from there, where she attends the Trump rally. I mean, it really is amazing. She attends, before the Trump rally, she goes to an MSNBC live show taking place a few blocks from the rally, and she wore her red hat that says "Make Speech Free Again," and basically, she said that all of these different Democratic rallies and coffee houses she had attended were full of doom and gloom and everything pointing towards that America is super racist because of Trump. And she said, this doesn't make any sense. And she decided to go to the Trump rally. And this is what she found. She says that she headed over to the rally 4 hours before Trump was set to take stage, and the line already stretched a mile away from the entrance to the arena. As I waited, I chatted with the folks around me, and contrary to all the fears expressed, everybody was so nice. She said once we got inside, the atmosphere was jubilant. People were genuinely enjoying themselves. She said it was so different than any other political event I had ever attended. Even Obama in 2008 didn't feel like this. She said, quote, I had attended an event with all of the Democratic contenders just 2 days prior in exactly the same arena, and the contrast was stark. She said first, Trump completely filled the arena all the way to the top, meaning Trump filled it out. 11,000 plus people, plus 10,000 more people outside in New Hampshire. And she said with Trump, there was a genuinely optimistic view of the future. She said with the Democrats, it was doom and gloom. A genuine feeling of pride of being an American is what she got out of the Trump rally. And she says, I don't agree with everything that Trump says, but I found out that, he's not racist. She says they don't love Trump because they think he's perfect. They love him despite his flaws because they believe he has their back. And then she goes on to say, today I voted in the New Hampshire Democratic Party primary for Pete Buttigieg. Then she says, tomorrow I'll be changing my voter registration from Democrat to Independent and walking away from the party I spent the last 20 years in. She goes on to say, I refuse to be part of the divisiveness any longer. And she says, I think the Democrats have an ass-kicking coming to them in November, and I think most of them will be utterly shocked when it happens because they are existing in an echo chamber, okay? Just like in 2016. That is not reflective of the broader reality. I hope it's a wake-up call and causes them to take a look in the mirror and really ask themselves how they got here. Now, I know that took a long time to read, but I wanted to say it because this is a real woman, Karlyn Borysenko, in New Hampshire, who had been a 20-year Democrat and writes constantly on social media, but was, wanted to go and look at a Trump rally because she had known that she had was witnessing so much hate that she could not look away. She had to go and see what was going on the other side, and she did, and it made the difference. So I think that's huge, folks, because when we look at people like Bloomberg, okay, so massive billionaire, deep money here, where he is controlling attorney generals. He's controlling DAs and assistant DAs all over the country to basically put in this climate agenda around energy. It isn't anything to do with people. It's nothing to do with justice. It is literally just to create the new economy around climate energy, which is to take our rights to use natural gas, oil, to heat our homes and to do our lives, to take so many of our freedoms away. That's what will happen if we put in the new climate energies, right? The electricity run by wind farms and these, we don't even know yet, but we know on a certain level it's coming from satellites. It's going to be a satellite-based energy system, and Bloomberg is right up in it. And he wants everybody to be told how much energy they can use. Not the corporations. They can use whatever they want. but humans must be controlled with our nests, our nest, things that control your, through Wi-Fi, control how much energy you use in your house. Well, that will become the next big push. And how does that fit into the rest of it? Well, I think it's huge. I think that I think we're looking at, even with the COVID-19, I think we're looking at a new system where 5G will be able to attack and control our biology, and already is in this COVID-19 situation, because the D in COVID means disease. And when we look at what's going on here with people dropping in the streets, hugely connected to walking next to lampposts in China, we're seeing a situation here where the rollout of 5G in China, okay, let's just, for instance, we have the head of the hospital in the Wuchang Hospital in Wuhan. He's supposedly dead of the coronavirus, a pneumonia, which isn't really the coronavirus. Supposedly dead, Liu Zhiming. Okay, now he is dead today, being head of that hospital, supposedly from the disease, as the U.S. is being allowed in to supposedly, find out what's going on with the coronavirus. Well, we already know Frank Plummer, head of the Winnipeg facility, the P4 lab in Winnipeg, Canada. He's dead in Nairobi last week from, we don't know, supposedly a heart attack, but he already had electrodes implanted in his brain. He was the director of the Winnipeg facility, the P4 lab in Winnipeg, that they had supposedly stolen the coronavirus out of, the Chinese nationals, all of this. He's dead. And now we have Liu Zhiming, also dead, and the U.S. is supposedly now being let in. Okay, so we have a 5G component to the coronavirus, and it is, I think, a digital aspect of the 5G connecting somehow with this communicable retrovirus, okay, which is when you look at, if you see my videos before, you look at it, they've basically pretty much shown that there's HIV in there, which is a retrovirus. So the people, they get infected once, okay, then it comes around again, and when the second infection comes, it seems to create what they call a cytokine storm, which is just a huge inflammation across the body. And what this does to you is it creates such massive inflammation for people who are susceptible, okay, that it will just create such inflammation in the body that it can damage your organs and cause you to keel over and die. And this always seems to happen in connection to some 5G connection. And look, folks, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is what we're seeing come out. And it's really important to understand this, that they're creating a digital connected to viral, right? That they are now executing. They're deploying 5G in Wuhan. It was the first deployment of 5G in China. And then this virus comes out, and we don't know still. We still don't know. Was there a vaccination program that happened in advance of this? We're still searching for that. But it does absolutely look like the 5G, the LED lights connected with, like they're pushing the LED. It's in all the street lamps, so much here in the US too. And they're trying to get the 5G out here too. and that the people that are walking down the street, and especially around these light posts, seem to be dropping down. Now, I don't mean to be all crazy about this. I'm literally just trying to form the connections here. That it looks like we have one of the first successful digitally connected 5G activated viral and 5G connections. So, I'm going to leave that there for now. I'm going to get more into it tomorrow. There is big stuff connected with that, and I will get more into it. So, okay, let's go on here from that back to what's going on with our political situation. We know that they're already saying in the Nevada caucus that there's going to be major problems. Okay, so Bloomberg, they're trying to push him into the debates in Nevada coming up shortly. And we know that Hillary tried to get in here as a Bloomberg possible VP. Stacey Abrams trying to get in here as a VP. Tulsi Gabbard's pushing for a VP slot. But the reality is that it's going to be messed up in Nevada, just like it was in Iowa. They're already warning in advance that their Google connections here, the Google, it's called the Google Calculator, is supposed to be in charge of the Nevada caucuses, and that they've put out 2,000 new iPads with secure Google web forms that are supposed to be part of this Google Calculator that will supposedly bring the results of the Nevada caucus. But what looks really dodgy here is that they're already saying there are major technology glitches with this. How could it be? Google technology glitches? Doesn't seem right. But no, they're saying that yes, there is major glitches in this. Already expect delays. Even it's literally not till the 22nd, till the actual caucus, but they started early voting on Saturday. And so we have this situation now where we can expect that the caucus in Nevada is going to be absolutely messed with, the same as Iowa. And who did it produce last time? Buttigieg, who had given 40-something plus $1,000 to the Shadow App company, Pacronym, the people who had supported him. Well, Buttigieg, of course, is McKinsey and Company, the Shaper of Nations, the private corporation that deals with how to basically take over countries. Well, McKinsey, Sundar Pichai, who is the new head of Google, well, he's a McKinseyite as well as Buttigieg. And so Google is going to be controlling the Nevada caucus, and they're already saying, nothing to see here, but please expect delays while we deal with our technological glitches. Okay. And so remember, Google funded CrowdStrike, and CrowdStrike created the fake information about Russia interference in the 2016 elections, when we already know that somebody else did that, and that was the FBI and NABU in Ukraine. And we already know we have Robert Storch involved in controlling that. I'll get into that in a second. But so CrowdStrike, funded by Google, created the fake Russia interference of 2016. And then a couple weeks ago, we get CrowdTangle, run by the same guy who created CrowdStrike, funded by Google, right, to supposedly hack into Burisma because they have nothing better to do, and trying to basically pin on Trump that now he's hacking into Burisma. Yeah, as if you need to, as if there's not tons and tons of information already showing the world that Burisma literally is run by a group of cabal criminals, you know, Caleb Black, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Devon Archer, Kolomoisky, it goes on, Poroshenko, right? But now, no, it's cool. Google's going to be fine with our Nevada caucus with Buttigieg, who is literally CIA operative out of Afghanistan and a Rhodes Scholar, just like his sister Rhodes Scholar, what's her name? Sarah Lord, who is Robert Storch's sister, wife, Robert Storch. This is important to understand because when we get into who was funding how did it happen that CrowdStrike happened? How did it happen that the FBI was surveilling Trump back in 2016? Well, this is Robert Storch, okay? And George Webb has been alluding to him. And I've talked about him in the past having to do with being in charge of the whistleblower ombudsman program there at the IG level, right? When we have Chuck Schumer saying, I call on all IGs to give us all the information you can possibly find about anything about Trump whistleblowing. You must do it now. Well, this is Schiff and Schumer trying to ignite the IGs, and Robert Storch is the NSA IG. And he was involved in the setup of the Ukraine spying on Trump with the FBI in the server out of the Kiev embassy with George Kent, Bill Taylor, all of them. And I will reference brassballs.blog. This is Harry the Greek that George Webb always talks about. He did a great string here that I'll link below, where he says very clearly, Robert Storch, okay, remember how Q says, look at the wives? Okay, remember the wives? Well, Sarah Lord, who is the wife of Robert Storch, the NSA AG, who was confirmed in 2017, never disclosing that he was the one that not only funded NABU in Ukraine, the anti-corruption bureau funded by Soros and our U.S. taxpayer dollars, but that he also was the one to provide the leadership in getting the FBI server connected to the NABU server in Ukraine to be able to digitize all their documents and provide them in real time to the FBI. And so let's look here a little bit further. Sarah Lord, his wife, she was a Yaler, okay? Skull and Bones, I don't know. There's 8 different houses in Yale, and they're all interconnected. People, when you think of gangs, like I said earlier, you think of gangs like MS-13, and you think of, oh, how could the deep state ever connect with gangs? I mean, how could that all happen? These same people are involved in gangs themselves. They're elite cabal secret societies, and that's what they do, and that's what this is. So we see Sarah Lord married to Robert Storch, Yaler, Oxford, also a Rhodes Scholar, just like Buttigieg, and she ends up setting up a situation in Ukraine where she sets up 39 Ukrainian law students who become called the NABU detectives, who end up being part of this, collecting information to then spy on Trump out of Ukraine. So this is Robert Storch in 2014 funding and creating NABU with Bill Taylor and his wife Sarah Lord, And then he visits Ukraine. This is NSA-IG. Okay, he was the IG for the DOJ before this. He ends up going to Ukraine 6 times in 2016 and 17. For what? He's the IG. What's he doing there? Well, we know what he's doing. He's literally forming the he's basically setting up the FBI server that's going to spy on Trump and is spying on Trump, creating information for the Russia dossier, which Nellie Orr even testified that she got from NABU. Okay, but he's also with his wife creating all of these operatives, these 39 lawyers. Okay, these students that have become lawyers that are working out of NABU to spy on the Trump campaign, contribute to the dossier, contribute to the Mueller investigation, and then what later becomes, of course, the impeachment under Schiff. And so, yeah, this is all run out of Kiev, out of the embassy, and we don't hear about it. And it's so important to understand that we're living in a situation where our government is rogue. This deep state is rogue. And it's like this in every other deep state of every other government. And so when Trump, gets out on the NASCAR, Indy 500 on Saturday and says, vroom, vroom, start your engines, this is our one chance to literally fight this massive cabal. He's undoing this. President Trump is undoing this. When we hear Karlin Borisenko, that her testimony I read earlier, where she said, I've been a Democrat for 20 years. I have a knitting circle. And people were in such hatred that I decided to go to a Trump rally, and all I heard there was great things and nice people. Well, that's the everyday amazing aha moment. But behind the scenes, President Trump is undoing such massive, massive cabals of weapons trafficking. The very day they pass the Iran War Powers Act in the Congress, we see that in the Straits of Hormuz, they capture Iran trying to send 150 missiles, missiles stolen through the whole missile grab, Schiff, Strzok, all the IP addresses, Buttigieg possibly involved. These people stealing our weaponry and funneling it through Afghanistan, it ending up through the UAE, getting, brought hither and yon. Well, those missiles get interrupted, and it's 150 air to, or surface to air missiles. Okay, there's nuclear material. There's night vision aspects. They intercept all of this. Okay, at the same time that they're trying to limit Trump's authority. Well, okay, I'm all for Congress being in charge of war, but not our Congress, because they're so corrupt, and it is such a giant swamp of creatures like Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, who has her opponent now running against her in San Francisco, Deanna Lorraine, I believe, who has been running, Pelosi for prison across San Francisco over the weekend to show the criminality of Nancy Pelosi being involved in all of these illicit weapon sales. Adam Schiff out of the port, out of Long Beach, before President Trump tore it back from China. All of this, these illicit selling of weapons to arm pretty much the Middle East, but it really gets down to a disruption of what was going to be the total screwing of America, and then there was going to be a China takeover of America. That's what was planned. And so now instead we get this retrovirus, a disease meant to impair another aspect of humanity. And I won't get too farther into that now. But this is not a virus so much as a disease, because they're making it a retrovirus like chronic fatigue syndrome, but on steroids, something that will infect you multiple times and then attack your organs and create a major cytokine storm or a massive inflammation attack that could really kill you. And so deep warfare going on here, folks. There is warfare going on. That's what's happening. It has to do with the world economy. It has to do with our deeply corrupted Congress. And now they're pulling in someone like Bloomberg, like blue blood Bloomberg, who couldn't relate to a cardboard box, let alone any regular Democrat. And he can only relate to a very, very small percentage of one percenters. Nobody else can relate to Bloomberg. That's just reality. So let's hope they push Bloomberg. You know, Bloomberg Abrams or Bloomberg Hillary or Bloomberg whoever. It's probably going to be Buttigieg, right? Or some surprise candidate, like I said before, some unity candidate, maybe. But I think that the Democrats, if they push Bloomberg, that the Dems will run to Trump, because he is much more somebody who's going to have their backs versus Bloomberg. And that's what I'm predicting. So I'm going to leave it there, folks. Very squirrely tonight. So sorry. So much on my mind and so much to cover, but all I can do is run around and cover what I can when I can. So here I am. Thanks so much for watching, folks. I appreciate you, and I'll be back tomorrow. We'll hopefully have a little more dialed in for you, and I'll just let folks know for patrons, if you want to become a patron of the channel, I do a give back to patrons every month. This month I'm giving back 3 bottles of the Brain Force to help with the cognition, 3 bottles of the Knockout to help you sleep, because this stuff will keep you awake. It does me, and I try. And then, of course, a set of the Tetragen that I've been talking about. I love this metabolic support. It curbs your hunger. It burns fat while you sleep, and it also helps you sleep. I've been sleeping really well. It does have melatonin in it, but also these beautiful phytonutrients. Gorgeous extracts, and I will link it below so you can check it out for yourselves. But this stuff really will help to heal your metabolic hormones. So thanks for watching, folks. You are free, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.